Oysters are one of the top seafoods farmed in New England, right behind lobster and sea scallops. But along a saltwater river in Maine, there's evidence that changing ocean waters are also changing the oysters. And as Stephanie Leydon reports, figuring out how to adapt could be crucial, not just for the future of oysters, but for a whole range of marine life.
3 hours north of Boston, the Damerscott River stretches for 15 miles, connecting a freshwater lake to the Maine coast. Ocean water wins out. The river's salty. Ideal, it turns out, for oysters. They're growing in these cages, the heart of an oyster farm Bill Mook launched 33 years ago.
What has it been like to grow oysters on this river?
It's been a wonderful career. I mean, it is a gorgeous place.
But in these pristine waters, something's changed. It became obvious inside the hatchery, where river water fuels an oyster breeding operation. It begins with larvae, so small you need a microscope to see them. About a decade ago, they started having trouble forming a shell.
It was a big problem. We were distraught. We were pulling our hair out trying to figure out what was going wrong.
Oyster growers from the West Coast, who were hit hard by the same thing years earlier, offered an answer. Ocean acidification. It's a process where carbon dioxide is absorbed in the water and, as the name suggests, makes it more acidic. Too acidic for oyster larvae to build a shell.
We now, because of ocean acidification, have to buffer the water. It's like putting Tums in the water. It's putting antacid in the water.
Problem solved inside the hatchery.
So these are oysters that were spawned in the hatchery last year.
But here on the river, where the oysters reach full size, Mook worries about what's happening.
The big question I have is whether the shells are becoming thinner.
Part of the answer may be in this black box. Developed by researchers at the University of New Hampshire, it measures changes in the river's acid levels. It's used to collect data not just here, but around the world, where everything from coral reef to clams could be vulnerable.
It is concerning because this trajectory of carbon dioxide has not leveled off. It's continuing to increase. On the port side?
I think so.
Researcher Joe Salisbury says it will take years to understand the full impact of ocean acidification, but his black box supplies real-time information, and that could help Bill Mook adapt.
I've spent over half my life building this business up, and I would like it to continue. And I'd like it to continue more than just until after I retire. And so that's really that's the focus of my effort right now.
An effort to make this oyster farm resilient, even as the river changes. Stephanie Leydon, WGBH News.
Bill Mook has plenty of company. About 80% of Maine's oysters are produced along the Damerscott River.